Hello and welcome back to the show, everybody. This is episode number 224 of the All Around Growth Podcast, a show that provides insight and tools to build the life and homestead of your dreams. My name is Rob Kaiser and I am your host. Today, we are going to dive into part 6 of the 2022 Goal Setting Workbook by Dan Miller, author of 48 Days to the Work and Life You Love. And before we go any further, I would like to invite you to join us in this journey. It is not just me setting goals, utilizing this workbook, but there are members of the audience, shout out to Andy, and lots of other people elsewhere that I am not aware of that are doing this. You can do it too. The link to this workbook is in the show notes. It's entirely free, and over the past 5 episodes, we've covered financial, physical, personal development, family, and spiritual goals. And today we will be diving into social goals. So what exactly does that mean? When we look at the social aspect of our lives, we can, and think about goals. For that, we can think about increasing the number of our friends or increasing the quality of our friendships. We can think about community involvement, things like that, social activities. And before we hit the road, as I drive down the driveway on this beautiful morning, wherever you are, I hope that you saw the sunset today. It's 7 a.m. here in Northeast Ohio. And this is one of those moments where I simply feel gratitude for so much. Anyways, I'll read some material from the workbook before we hit the road. Quote, "The greatest good you can do for another is not just to share your riches, but to reveal to him his own." Close quote. Benjamin Disraeli. Dan writes, "Change old attitudes, discard past negatives, ask for forgiveness. Make things right with people whom you need to forgive or who need to forgive you. Choose someone you could care for or be a mentor to, and then make the effort to work on this relationship, starting today. What is a promise that you made to someone but failed to keep? Spend time with an elderly person and find out some of her fondest memories." There's a little image here from How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, with 6 bullet points, 6 ways to make people like you. 1, become genuinely interested in other people. 2, smile. 3, remember that a person's name to that person is the sweetest and most important sound in any language. 4, be a good listener. Encourage others to talk about themselves. 5, talk in terms of the other person's interests. 6, make the other person feel important, and do it sincerely. Now, as we've said, and as we've discussed in each of the past 5 episodes, when we take this approach to setting goals, specifically in this workbook, we are looking at each of the 7 aspects of our lives in or through a lens that allows us to think about them in the following way. We identify in this moment our 3-year goals. We break it down into 1-year goals, And then we break it down into simple actions that we can take today. Or if you're doing this in the evening, going through this workbook, think about an action that you can take tomorrow. But it's really simple. And it doesn't mean it's easy, but I'll tell you what is easy. It's easy to overthink all of this. And I realized that when I was doing this, that this isn't an end-all, be-all thing that I do and then don't touch for 3 years. Because that's a recipe for failure. So these are goals that we write and a workbook that's in an editable PDF that allows us the opportunity to input a lot of information there, save it, print it, and adjust it when necessary. So for 3-year social goals, we can think about what organizations we will be serving in. Serving is the key word. And then there's a space just open to write or type out some action items. I've got this printed, easy to write. Like I said, editable PDF, easy to type. Whatever works for you, there's really no excuses to not do this other than your own desire to maintain the comfortable complacency of your life. If that's not what you want to do, go to the show notes, download the workbook, join us, and do it. 1-year goals, we think about developing friendships. And then beginning today, I will join X. Now this is, all right, let me break that down again before I share some of my own experiences and what I'm thinking, because I worked through this last night, and maybe sharing my own experience, sharing a bit of my own story might help provide some insight and clarity for you as you work through these goals as well. So before I do that, 3-year goals, we want to be specific and measurable. We want to think about what organizations we're serving in. 1-year goals, we want to think about friendships that we are going to cultivate or develop. And then we are going to think about what we are doing or can do today. Currently, I am a member of a local church. And in an effort to give back in years past, I've become a Financial Peace University coordinator after attending classes and being a member of the program for 3 years in a row in order to effectively repattern my life, my thoughts, and my habits about money management. And subsequently, 3 years in, I was able to become debt-free. The current treasurer of the church passed away after some struggles with health. They asked me to step in and be the interim treasurer, and after a couple months in January of last year, I was what am I trying to say here? I was officially the treasurer of the church. Mildly intimidating. I have no experience with doing that. I communicated that to them, and also my willingness to learn. And perhaps I might talk about that another time, but that is something I am currently involved in. I am also currently involved in an organization called the Independent Order of Odd Fellows, and I'm a member of the Medina Odd Fellows Lodge, Morning Star Lodge, number 26. And I help out with website stuff, listing events that we do, Christmas tree sales, and we do all of this in an effort to give back to the local community. I'm also trying to be involved with the Freedom Cell Network, although that effort is growing. It's largely an online presence, and I haven't had that much success connecting with people locally, although I continue to try. But I'm going to try harder over the next 3 years, because within this 3-year time, my term as treasurer will be up. It remains to be seen whether or not I will continue to do so, but I think at that point in time it will serve as a nice springboard to transition to some of these other areas in my life, and during the course of 2022 will also allow me to have something to work on, stay consistent with what I've currently got going on in my life, and refine what it is that I want to work on for 2023 when I do this exercise around this time again next year, further refining my 3-year goals while reflecting back on what they were at this time now. One other thing that I wanted to do with regard to my social life is get back into playing music. Music was something that in one of my past lives was something that I very much enjoyed. I had a lot of friendships develop as a result of old-time music, and some of the best experiences in my life were a result of the old-time music community down in North Carolina, and even to a certain extent up here. It took a little while for me to find some people to connect with, and in a nutshell, almost as soon as I found them, the close, tight-knit community, or at least what seemed that way, began to disintegrate. And luckily I've maintained some relationships with people that I was a little bit more close to in that group, and we were speaking about this the other day, about the disappointment, the shared disappointment in the falling apart, for lack of a better term, of that local community. But his sister, who also plays, lives relatively close to me in the neighboring town over. Much smaller town than me, but since I'm 1 mile from the border of that town, it's pretty convenient. And because of my own fears and insecurities about my skill set, I have been reluctant to reach out to her and play, or ask her to play. It's easier in a group. You can play, but you're muted by those who are better, closer inside the circle. When it's just you and one other person, it's just you and one other person. But as I was writing this out over the 1-year goals and how to do this, and thinking about some time that I could invest in this and playing, it's something that I used to do that brought me a lot of joy. It's something that I gave up. It's something that I sacrificed in the past, and I never really thought about that because I had all this other stuff going on. This other stuff, though, is a lot of stuff that often gets me thinking about the type of life I lead. It's a very busy life sometimes it's not a very full life. And quite frankly, going through this workbook has stirred up a lot of thoughts, a lot of emotions, and it's helped me understand what areas in my life are lacking. And this is one of them. A lot of social activities that I'm involved in, lots of acquaintances, few true friends. But I've learned that through exploring this and having dialogue with people that played, still do, I'm realizing what true friends are. So guys, I hope that some of those, and ultimately, the action that I took last night was reaching out to his sister for the very first time. Instead of just thinking about it, I took those dreams, executed on a plan. I ended up talking to this individual about the Old Time Jam for something unrelated. But all of this came together, and on a real quick side note, if you have a gut feeling about something, follow it. Trust your gut. There's more to it than that. Whatever it is, I don't know. You can read some white papers, I'm sure, about the science on what that gut feeling is. I have my own ideas. Maybe you have yours. Bottom line is, no matter where it comes from, it's worth following up on, because it comes from somewhere, and it's not up to us. It's not our place to understand that, but it is our place to at least explore it, execute upon it, and reap the rewards from it. So guys, that's it for today's show. I hope that what I shared on my own experiences with my social goals and how I'm approaching them was of benefit. And remember, the greatest good you can do for another is not just to share your riches, but to reveal to him his own. That's a quote by Benjamin Disraeli. And as we think about this, we want to change our old attitudes, discard past negatives, ask for forgiveness, make things right with people whom you need to forgive yourself or who need to forgive you. Choose someone you could care for or be a mentor to, and then make the effort to work on this relationship starting today. Think about a promise that you made to someone that maybe you failed to keep. Or spend time with an elderly person and find out some of his or her fondest memories. Those are some tips, along with my own experiences, to get you thinking about what some appropriate social goals might be for you. And tomorrow we will sum it up with career goals. And again, I would just encourage you to check out the show notes, guys. Download this workbook at no cost whatsoever. There's a link there that'll give you the opportunity to do that, and I would definitely encourage you to do so. It's been a rewarding experience for me to work through. I hope it is for the others that have chosen to work through it as well. And as always, I appreciate you tuning in to the show today. I appreciate your time with all of the content that's being created out there. It's truly a blessing that you choose to spend your time with me. And if you want to connect further, I definitely encourage you to check out the All Around Growth chat group on Telegram at t.me/allaroundgrowth on your browser, or you can find us through the app on your phone at All Around Growth. Have a wonderful day, everybody. This is Rob Kaiser, and thank you.